Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I'm going to be tying for you a stimulator. These things can kind of look intimidating, but once you get a couple of the little techniques down to make it happen, they are actually a pretty simple fly. So today I'm going to be tying this on a 200R. This is going to be in a size 12. And I'll go ahead and start my thread a good, about 3 eye lengths back, something like that. Go ahead and set myself a nice thread base. The thread I'm using is UTC 70 in olive. I'm going to bring it on back, and as I'm doing that, I'm going to untwist my thread. So I'm going to spin my bobbin counterclockwise, so that's to the left if you're a right-handed tyer. And I'm going to come back to where, if I move this up just a little bit, where it would hang right at that barb. And that's where I'm going to start a little football. So from right there, I'm going to work back with that nice flattened thread. And if I see it wanting to cord up, I immediately spin my bobbin counterclockwise. Come down that bend a little bit. Come back up to where it would hang at that barb again. And then come back down. I'm just going to build a little football. I'm going to go back and forth on it till I get the size that I'm looking for. Sorry about that with the cell phone. Just a little bit more. And then let it hang. So now that I got myself a little football there, I'm going to go ahead and grab I'm using Compare Cow Elk. I just want a little brush for the tail, so I'll trim some hair out. And to clean the hair, you want to grab the tips, because that's just what you're wanting to use. And all this fluff and short stuff, you can start to work all that out. Start to pull that to where it cleans that hair out. If you have good stuff like this Nature Spirit, it's really not hard to get a nice clean clump with just a little bit of effort. Put those tips in my hair stacker. I may need just a little bit more. So get me another little clump. Do the same thing. Just hold the tips. Pull all the fuzzies out. Go ahead and stack the hair. And from there, I'm going to grab the tips. And now I do see a broken one in there, so I'm going to just use my fingers to just grab that tip and pull it on out. Now you want this tail to be about as long as the hook gap, so nothing too crazy long. And you can see I got those, the tips kind of extend a little bit, so you want it to be about that long. So I'm going to grab that clump. This time I'm going to cord my thread up a little bit, so I'm going to spin it clockwise. That's to the right. I'm going to give myself 1, 2, 3 wraps. Hold it right on top and give it a little pull. And then I'm going to slowly move my way forward to where I can take a look and see what my tail looks like. And I got it just a little bit on this side, so I'm going to pick that tail up with my fingers and work my way just a little further back down that tail, or down the hook shank, until I get it right on top where I want it. Then from there, I'm going to return my thread back up to where I was. Pull all these out of the way, jump my thread in front, and then wrap back up to that index point. Then I'm going to pull all those tips to the front, and I'm going to give myself 3 good wraps. So 1, 2, 3. Then from there, I'm just going to do nice open spirals back. This will give you a nice even underbody. So that everything looks like it's supposed to in the end. Now that I got the hair trimmed out, I'm going to jump back up to the front. I'm going to grab some UTC ultra wire size small in copper, and I'm going to tie it on the far side of the hook. Bring it on back down to where that tail is. And then I'm going to reach for my dubbing. And my dubbing, I'm using a little bit of a unique material. It is a Nature's Spirit 100% hand carded fleece. So it comes out, you know, pretty long, but you can kind of get it nice and straight a couple times if you have to. And I'm going to dub this on just pretty much kind of like superfine, just nice and thin noodle. It's always easier to put on than it is to take off, so less is more here. And I'm going to build a pretty even taper, nothing too crazy, to this fly. So I'm not going to really make a wedge with it. Just a nice even body, so no big taper to it. Up until about a little past halfway. I need a little more. Maybe just one little step more. Right there. Then I'm going to grab myself a ginger. Now this happens to be a neck. I got lucky with a nice long one here. I mean, this sucker, that sucker is long. Anyway, I'm going to tie it in shiny side towards me, and I've already kind of prepared the hackle by stripping off the butt ends a little bit to give myself just the bare stem to tie in. And I gave myself a little bit of room so that when I start this hackle, it starts right up onto that dubbing. So not in front, but right on. And then I'm just gonna open spiral back. And I'm using a dark barred ginger feather for this. I just really like this color. Once I get to the end here, I may be able to squeak one more. I'm going to go in for my wire. I'll come up and I'm just going to place this wire in as if that hackle doesn't even exist. And then tie it off. 3 wraps there, hold it tight, helicopter. Then I'm going to come in with a nice sharp pair of scissors, sneak them in the back here, trim that hackle out. And we'll clean up this tie-in spot. Bring my thread forward, all the way back. And I like to have my hackle sized pretty much right on. So if you look at my hackle gauge here, since this is, I do believe this is a 14 or this is a 12. I pretty much had it right into that, excuse me, I kind of undersized it just a little bit. I had that hackle feather right up to this point, because that dubbing will give you that extra little gap. So that dubbing that you put on there plus the hair, that hair under body, that gave me that extra gauge width. So whenever I sized it right to this line that my scissors are pointing on size 14, instead of up at this line as a size 12. So that's just a little bit of a tip. I did the same thing with the grizzly that I'm going to tie on, and for the front portion. Now for the wing, I'm going to return back to my compare cow elk. I'm going to get a nice healthy clump this time, because I like a big bushy wing. And with a clump this big, I like to use my comb to help me get all the fluff out. All those little ends. Sorry about bumping the camera. Give that a stack. And just like the other one, you see that broken tip? I'm just going to come in with my finger, can pull it down like that, and pull it out. That odd one, he's gone. Don't need that. Now I'm going to measure this. Nice healthy wing here. Those tips need to go just a little bit past the tail, because when they kick up, it'll be even with the tail. So just a slight bit past that tail is where I'm going to put this wing in. And I'm going to come in just like I did the last time. We'll spin my thread clockwise to give it a little bit of, cord it up a little bit. I'm going to do 1, 2, I like to do 3. And then I pull my bobbin straight towards me. And I will bite down in that hair. The second it stops fraying or kicking up, that's when you stop, and then you can let go. And as you can tell, that tail's right on, or excuse me, that wing's right on. And then I'm gonna slowly just jump my thread up in between those on the butt ends as I move my way forward towards the eye, tying those down. And once I get up here to the front, I get to work on some trim. And I do like to kick those butt ends back forward. So that when I start trimming, I'll take the ones that are up top, and I'll come in kind of close. And then on the sides, I kind of trim it with the shape of the fly itself. Be careful biting down into this. You definitely don't want to cut the thread wraps that you've placed inside that hair, so be careful. I'd hate for you to get here and cut your thread. And you can see some of those elk fibers rolled down the shank. This is a great opportunity for you to be able to come in and just sneak your scissors up and take those out. Can't always get them all perfect, so we'll do a little cleanup work. Now that I've got everything cleaned up, I kind of like to pinch it just a little bit and kick those ends forward. And then I can begin to clean up this front portion of the hook. If I do have stuff that's real big, kind of come in close and get that out. Easy. Now I'll come in and I'll have my grizzly hackle prepared in the same manner. That little in there, shiny side towards me, and I'll give myself some room, just like I did with the ginger. Come back forward, back up, back down. Just keep things nice and clean. And I'll go back to my dubbing. I'll do some more, another thin noodle. Then I'm going to start this behind the eye, but I'm going to wrap uphill. And I want to make a little bit of a squared shoulder up there at the front. So it's going to be nice and thin here. Start working my dubbing back. I need just a little bit more. I'm going to build up just a little bit of a shoulder here. May need just a tad bit more. Just to clean up that extra half wrap. There, just like that. Now you can bring your grizzly, since you tied it towards you, toward the shiny side towards you, that first wrap should be right on top of that hair wing. And then you make nice consecutive open wind turns. That last one can jump off. 1, 2, 3. Grab your whip finish. Sweep them back. 1, 2, 3. I'll put one more on for good measure. Take a look, make sure there's no crazy one sticking out. I may have one crazy one there in the front. So I'm gonna bring my tweezers in, grab him, get him on out of there. Try not to grab that dubbin. And there you go. If you have any crazy elk up here at the top, what you can do is you can pull that wing down, slide this right behind, give it a little trim. This is just stylistic, really. And there you go. There's your stimulator. Classic pattern. Fun to tie. Thing looks great. It'll float great. Catch fish great. Thank you guys. You guys have an awesome one. Twist some up. Let me know how you do.